Everyone, I'm super excited to be here with Lisa. We're at her home in Stone Ridge. My name is Anthony Sakari, owner at New York State Solar Farm, and it's not every day we get the opportunity to talk with the homeowner on the day of install about what their experience has been like so far, what it's been like leading up to this process, and what it's been like today since you woke up and the crew has been here this morning. Early. I know I saw you last night. I actually dropped the truck off with the panels in it because I know we're going to be doing some videos and different things like that today, so I wanted to get that out of the way. So we have the panels here. But I actually got the chance to talk with Lisa last night about the reasons why she decided to go solar, a little background on her. She worked with Tara from our company to hear what that experience was like. And it was so enlightening because so many people go solar for so many different reasons. And to hear your story about why you went solar it made me feel so good because of the reasons that you were doing it. And just to give some background on the system that we're installing here, we have 31 SunPower 360 watt panels. The system size is 11.16 kW, and I actually pulled this. I don't know if you remember this from your agreement, but in there we give your annual CO2, and we call it Lisa's Home Green Machine Report. So when customers go solar, we show the environmental benefits that are tied to the system. So your year one production on this system is 8,465 kilowatt hours. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
That's 106% of her, that's going to offset her bill by 106%, her usage by 106%. Thank you. So the annual CO2 and emissions offset for the planet, this is the box right under her kilowatt hours. The gallons of gasoline offset, 670 gallons of gasoline.
Nice.
The pounds of waste were 4,470. Planted trees, 153. And acres of U.S. forest was 5. So
I don't think people realize what a big impact one home going solar can make.
yeah.
It's huge. It really is important.
And when someone's going solar, we're always, you see these fields of solar panels, but it's changing the way each person's home is powered makes a difference. A lot of homes going solar equals one of those big solar farms at the end of the day. So, Lisa, I was wondering, not just like giving the unfiltered reality of, a lot of people see videos and are like, oh, this is pre-produced, the whole thing, but I would just love to give our customers that are going solar a behind the scenes of, I guess, what the experience, since it's the most recent from today, what has it been like since the crew got here today so far?
Oh, it's been very pleasant, actually. Other than the crew occasionally needing access to the basement or the attic, I didn't even need to be here. They're professional, they show up, they got to work right away. They've done an amazing amount of work so far. It's been fabulous, and I have not met you before yesterday, so no, this is not pre-produced.
And a lot of our customers don't get to meet me. I'm more behind the scenes in different areas of the company. I feel like I know all of our customers from all the paperwork that's involved for each of them, but our solar consultants are usually the main point of contact for when a homeowner goes solar with us. And you were working with Tara throughout the process. You said you were a teacher.
I was a teacher. I was an educator for many years, and one of the reasons that I decided to go with New York State Solar Farm is because Tara made me feel very comfortable as a solar provider. She never talked over me. She met me at my understanding, my point of entry into understanding how solar systems work. And it's confusing. It's a whole other language you have to learn. And she was so patient and understanding, but never made me feel, like an idiot. She was wonderful. And that's one of the things that made me feel like going with a local, family-owned company is more in line with my needs.
Right.
The other thing, which I didn't mention, was that New York State Solar Farms, your philosophy of wanting to help reduce emissions, it is forefront. I think when you talk to any of your staff, it's evident that that's forefront in why you do this, to help our world and our climate and our environment. It's not the bottom line of being in the business of it, which a lot of the companies that I spoke to, I got the impression that was their main focus, was being a business. But your main focus for me was just like mine, doing what I can to make an impact on the environment, and the business part was second. So I just felt like this was a natural fit for me.
Yeah.
And I still feel that today.
And it means so much you saying that, because a lot of people think when going solar, they're getting multiple quotes from multiple different companies. And something that you don't see on the quote is what happens after you go solar. And a lot of people call us up that have systems from other companies that aren't getting their phone calls answered or having trouble. And that's something we pride ourselves on, is when we say you go solar with us, you're joining our solar family, because we're not going to leave one family member behind if they have a question. And that's not to say things don't go wrong or you don't have questions, but the number one thing is like addressing it and making sure we give you the answers and figuring
look,
things out.
You're here today. You know, a big nationwide company, I don't think any would show up.
Right.
And see how it's going.
That's awesome. So cool to hear like your feedback on it. And another thing that you brought up yesterday was we were looking at your neighbors' houses, and some of your neighbors' roofs are facing like perfectly south, and your roof, you have,
I have roof envy.
You have
because they're oriented south.
Right.
And I know that if you have a south-facing roof, it's ideal for solar. So I was explaining that I was discouraged. I didn't think I would be a good candidate, but you guys said no. We can design a system.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. You want to explain what?
Yeah, just to give a little perspective. In the front of the house, that's east. In where you're standing, Kevin, with the video camera, that's west. South is that way. So what makes your roof suitable for solar with the technology that we're using SunPower panels with the microinverter behind it, is that if we picture this as your roof, it's actually at a lower slope. So if it was a steeper slope, you'd have more hard shade coming on the roof. But by it being on a lower slope, you're able to get sun coming over the top and still getting good production out of the system. And that was like really important. See, we're at the job site right now. Things are happening. Tape measure fell off the roof, but safety zone is set up, so we're good.
They have their hard hats on.
Yes, hard hats, harnesses, everything. So that's how you know this is real. But yeah, that's what makes this roof suitable for solar, is you have low slope pitch, but also it's a misconception that you have to have a south-facing roof to go solar. That's not the case. And a lot of people get that information from national companies where they just look for cookie-cutter roofs that are perfectly south.
Right.
But Kev, I was wondering if maybe you could follow us to the panels and we could look at the microinverters.
And why microinverters are better than one big inverter.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So this is our SunPower panel. Let's put this over here. So this is the front of the panel. So you can see it. It's got the maxi. Oh, sorry, I'm blocking you. You can go through. So you can see the front of the cells. These are the Maxion SunPower cells. This is what separates your system versus conventional technology that's kind of called commodity technology. So these cells produce more power per square foot than any other cell. And the reason that happens is because there's copper backside contacts on these cells, which makes them produce more power. So that means less panels on the roof producing more power. So in the future, I know you were saying electric car, mini splits, heat pumps, you have the ability to add more panels. And also what makes that possible is because of the microinverters that are on the back of the panel. So this is a full AC solar panel. Coming off of the roof, we have AC coming versus DC, which is a conventional system. So before they install these, they'll pop these at back, and this comes off, and this is the SunPower IQ7S microinverter, IQ7XS microinverter. So what happens is each panel is isolated. So if anything ever goes wrong with this panel, Lisa, we could look on the portal and say, all right, it's the top left, right panel that's broken or not working, and then address it. And then if it needs a new microinverter, we pop it off from here while keeping the exact same panel.
Right. So, but until that happens, I'm only out one panel of 36.
Yeah.
It's not my whole system that's not producing energy until it gets fixed. And that was one of the things that, I'm not an engineer, but that appealed to me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like Christmas tree lights. When you're doing the Christmas tree lights and then one goes out and you have to find which one it is, that's what this helps us avoid, which is really cool. So the next thing we have is we have the panels going on the roof, and then panels are having AC current come off the roof. They're mounted on top of the Invisimount racking system. What the Invisimount racking system means is you don't see any hardware, like almost like braces. You don't see any hardware on the panels, and it almost looks like they're floating. And then all of that power comes down the roof over here and goes into our combiner panel. So where Eric is standing right there in the middle, this is your combiner panel, where that's combining all of the circuits from the system into that panel. And then to the left of that panel, where he's standing, it's directly in front of him, but that's our SunPower monitoring box. So that's the box where when you're checking your app, you're gonna see the production, the consumption of your home, and to see how everything is working, which is really cool. And then that system goes into the disconnect, so that's our shutdown. So God forbid if anything ever happens, they pull the shutdown right there. And that goes into the basement, into your main service panel where we tie into your panel. And then the fun part happens. Central Hudson, who's your utility provider, comes out, and Kevin, I don't know if you can see the meter there, but they're gonna swap out that meter, and that's gonna then get a net meter. So all of the power that you produce, you could send back to the grid. So it's kind of like the whole walkthrough of the solar system.
Want to talk a little bit about net metering? Because you hear that word a lot.
Net metering is an amazing program that we still have here in New York. And what the net metering gives us the ability to do is when Lisa's system is producing more power in the summertime, she banks all those credits up and it carries over into the wintertime when you need those credits. So the beautiful thing in New York that we have is net metering. So if you're paying 16 cents per kilowatt hour for your energy, when you produce that same amount of power and send it back to Central Hudson, they're going to credit you 16 cents. So it's a credit for credit on your utility bill, which is really awesome. But I think we covered a lot of it. Is there anything else you would add to it, or any other?
Do you want to talk a little bit about the app? Is there anything else that I can do and see on the app?
Yes. There's a lot on the app that you could do. So. Kevin, I don't know if we can come closer to you to show you this.
Antonio.
But this is my system at my house right now. So what you'll have, Lisa, is you're gonna see it's a cloudy, overcast day today. My roof is directly east facing. My system is producing 4.7 kW right now. The home is using 1.3, and I'm sending 3.4 kW back to the grid.
Even though it's an overcast day?
Even though it's overcast right now. And my roof is not facing an optimal direction, similar to yours. That's pretty cool to see on there. And then also on the app, you can go to right now, or I can go to this week. And on this week, it'll show you, I produced, today is Thursday, right? So far this week, I produced 349 kilowatt hours. The home's usage was 316. and I exported 32.8 kilowatt hours back to the grid. So when I need those kilowatt hours later in the year, I'll be able to get those. And something else on here that's really cool is you get to analyze your energy by the hour. So on the app, when you have it, you'll be able to hold your finger down and you'll see on the top all of the gauges changing. And
can you read off those three things?
yes.
It's kind of small.
So right now, home consumption for Thursday so far, right now it's 11:30, 19.1 kilowatt hours. Solar production, 13.3 kilowatt hours. Net grid imported today, 5.9 kilowatt hours. So I pulled 5.9 from the grid today, but still was offset, had 13.3 kilowatt hours of offset. And something really important, just to remind you, and I'm jumping the gun because probably Allie would let you know this later in the stage, is in your profile, in your account info, you can get reports. So you can get a report sent to you at the end of every month, so you don't have to look at this app. So it's in your email inbox, and then you'll see on there if there's anything going on or anything wrong, or what you're producing and saving. So in here, what's pretty cool is you can go to year, and this will give you all the data for the year so far. So you'll have all of these, your home consumption for the year, your solar production, and your net grid usage. So actually, I just got an electric car, and
You're charging that.
and I added more heat pumps. So I actually I added 12 more solar panels to my system, which is probably what you're going to do in the future too.
And it was easily done. But you talk about kilowatts, and I think for anybody who's watching this and not sure what to do, the first step is to figure out your own energy usage in your house if you don't already know that.
That's good.
Go on the SunHud website or call up SunHud and say, I want to know what my energy usage is for the year, and they'll tell you what it is in kilowatts, or you'll see it on your profile on the website. And then each month what your kilowatt usage is. And if you're like most people, it probably goes up in the summer now because you're using air conditioning and you probably don't have electric heat. But if you have electric heat, it might be different. But learn what your own kilowatt usage is.
It's really important to do that because we're putting up a solar system. Obviously, we're the solar people. We want to put up a bigger system, but we also don't want to produce more than what the homeowner is going to use. So it's always good to conserve as much as possible first and know what your baseline is before we add solar to the home. So if we want to get that core usage, so let's just say the core usage is 8,000 kilowatt hours. We start that as our baseline. Okay, we need that amount of solar. And then we take into account, all right, we're going to add 2 heat pumps, we're going to get an electric car, and then we could build off of those things and give estimates.
Right. So we were talking about one of the things that I would probably do is add heat pumps and one day have an electric charger here. How long should I wait to see how efficient my system is working before I decide to do something like that?
It's really, I would give it, the best thing is like, if you wait a full year, you'll see exactly what the system is going to produce in that calendar year. Now, give or take climate and weather and all those kind of things, there's a factor in there. But I would say that's a good time frame to know what the system is going to produce. But really you're going to know over a 6-month to 3-month span how that system is doing and be like, wow, okay, we forecasted that this is going to do 20% more. We're doing that, and I could pull the trigger on 2 heat pumps
because
at this point.
We can compare my August usage this year to what my August usage was last year with SunHud and get a pretty good idea of efficiency.
And having the app will give us the ability to dive into it even more and see what you're using. So we'll have last year's bills plus the app to see all the production. So
because I know there's financial incentives, that you might want to take advantage of sooner rather than later. So we'll figure that out.
Lisa, I think we covered it all. Sorry. Lisa brought up batteries. Good question. Good thing to bring up. You were looking at batteries for your system. Right now, we're in a global supply shortage of batteries, but still we're doing batteries. But the batteries that we're currently installing are people that have been waiting for 6 to 9 months for batteries. So for instance, on your system, you want batteries coupled with it. But what we do at New York State Solar Farms, we kind of break it into 2 different parts. You financed your system, So we have the financing done for the solar. The last thing we wanted to do is add a battery to that financing, because then Lisa would be paying for a battery that she currently doesn't have installed. So
we're waiting.
So what we're doing is, when we design the system, we take into consideration, okay, this home is going to get batteries in the future, and we design it for that. And then when we get battery availability and things are flowing, then we can go into it. And I know you said you have a SunPower system here. We currently install Tesla Powerwalls, but we also have the SunVault double inverter that we're waiting for as well. So when that gets released too, we can see if that's a possibility here.
Right. And I think battery packs are a big draw for people to go solar. So do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of backup you can expect in your house with one or two or more battery packs in general?
Yeah, so each battery pack, so the ones we're installing now from Tesla, are 13.5 kilowatt hours of storage per battery. Right now we're recommending that people do 2 batteries minimum. The reason we're recommending they do 2 batteries is because then you could do whole home backup, and then you can have control over the app as well as your main service panel. Like, all right, I'm using too much, let me shut these breakers down or do this. So it really all depends. So like your home with 2 batteries could last 4 days, 5 days,
Right.
with no sun exposure. But for your neighbor's home, who's got an electric car already and the whole house is electric, he may go 24 hours to 48 hours. So it's definitely very custom depending upon everyone's home usage. So when we're doing that battery analysis, we're looking at the size of the breakers and trying to see what your loads
I
are.
have control over deciding what appliances, et cetera, to power when the power goes out.
So
So like for instance, in the middle of winter and we have a severe ice storm and we're going to be without power for 4 days or more, I might want to be stingy with the lights and focus on heat, some heating.
Right.
And if it's summer, or it might be different.
So that's what's cool about when we do the whole home backup. So you would be able to go on your main service panel. We also do smart service panels, where you could shut the breakers off from your cell phone, which is
Really?
kind of cool. I just experimented and set that up on my home. But even if you didn't do that, you can go on your main service panel and shut those breakers
Just
off,
flip those lights.
or just make sure that appliances are shut off in the house.
And that'll conserve the energy for what I think I'm really going to need.
Exactly.
Great.
You are
Should
like
have done this sooner.
everyone's like, when should I go solar? Like, when's the best time? And it's almost
Like,
the sa-
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like, when's the best time to plant a tree? Like yesterday. Like, you should have done it a while ago. But it's making the first step now and doing it when you did it. You're still going to get full summer production. So,
Right. Do you want to talk about the 0% down in the
so Lisa's unbelievable at what she's remembering. You should work for us. Lisa's our newest employee at New York State Solar Farm.
It might take you up.
So we're finished cutting conduit.
We can step
Yeah.
back a little bit.
So Lisa brought up a good thing. The way she financed her system was with 0.99% loan. That loan has, it should be done in a second, 1 sec. Cool. So that
Say
loan,
that again. Repeat what you
so Lisa went with a 0.99% interest loan on the system, which is pretty awesome to have such a low interest rate on the loan. And with that loan, it came with a tax credit portion that you have 18 months to pay back. But what can you add to that?
group purchasing.
What was that?
The group purchasing plan discount. Oh, the NYSERDA discount.
Right, you had the
Right.
NYSERDA rebate,
Yeah.
the federal tax credit,
Right.
the state tax credit.
Right. I mean,
Also, you were part of Marbletown
right.
with Tom Conrad with
Right.
that whole program. So, yeah, I mean, that was an awesome loan to pair up with
Right.
the system.
Right, and that 0% down. It what I saw on paper after working with Tara was that the cost for this solar system is pretty much in the same ballpark as what I'm paying every month for my electric bill. It really is very comparable. I mean, what I paid for in the year, when you average it out, it was a no-brainer for me. It was right in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm not going to notice it.
What we're seeing to add to that is, like, if your bill is, let's just say, $300 a month, the loan for the solar system could be the same as 300 or even lower, 280, 290. So instead of paying the utility company, you're paying for the asset of the solar on your roof. The solar increases the home's value. There was a Zillow report that showed between 5 to 6% that the home's value increases. So there's all those added benefits, and I think a lot of times people feel that the solar system, you're tied to the utility company. There's no getting, you're going to be paying that bill forever. So why pay the utility when you could pay for the solar panels that are on your roof?
And I talked with Tara about, I'm going to try to chip away at that loan, the solar loan, and pay it off sooner. So I can start really seeing the benefits
savings,
of, every time I have a little extra cash, I'm gonna get that down. So it's exciting. This is a really exciting day, and I'm really happy you came out to visit and help. And I just want. I don't want to make it seem like I'm endorsing New York State Solar Farm. It's the company I picked. There are many companies out there, but people should just get the ball rolling and sign up with an energy coach and get some help and go on the websites. I'm sure we'll have the websites listed on the screen, and just start. Once I found these resources, it was much less overwhelming. It was much easier for me to manage the process. And I really knew what I was talking about. I think by the time I get to Tara, I was asking her questions, right? Like I knew, I knew a little bit about it. There's no reason not to do it. There's no reason. Just take the plunge.
And something that we're going to do, I know it's the first day of install, haven't even seen how the system works yet. We're going to do a recap video probably this winter, if we could, and you can go on our YouTube page and see customers that have done solar, and I take pride in not only like the day of install, but coming back a year later and seeing how the customers are doing, their utility bill, how's everything working out. So look out for that. But Lisa, welcome to the solar family. And
nice meeting you.
Absolutely. So